Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your place for, well, getting the crucial insights from all that information out there. Today we're diving into something really timely, the silent currency of PR, trust, transparency, and the battle against misinformation. You know, in this world just completely awash in digital noise, it's become so clear public relations isn't just about grabbing attention anymore. No, the whole game has changed. It's really about earning trust. And we're all dealing with this tricky landscape where, frankly, misinformation travels incredibly fast, often way faster than the actual facts.
And that's exactly why we need to dig into this today, especially for you listening. I mean, think about how you get your information daily. Algorithms are basically deciding what you see, and people, consumers, they're demanding authenticity more than ever before. So PR's role has really shifted. It's less about promotion, more about protection, less about just telling a story, and more about, well, telling the truth.
Okay, so that's our mission then. Let's unpack how this is all reshaping public relations and, maybe more importantly, what it means for how you sift through information, judge messages, and, build trust in this really complex time. All right, let's unpack this. This idea that the public isn't just relying on the old guard, the traditional media anymore. That sounds like a massive shift, almost revolutionary.
Oh, it absolutely is. And it's happening right now. You've got social media platforms, countless independent blogs, and now increasingly AI-generated content. All of these are shaping opinions, like instantly. And while this, let's call it democratization of media coverage creates opportunities, sure, it also seriously fuels the challenges. Fake news, narratives being twisted, and just this general growing suspicion towards corporate messages. So in this kind of environment, trust really does become the single most valuable asset PR can build.
Trust is currency. That's a really powerful way to put it. So, okay, if that's the goal, how are PR strategies actually changing? I mean, what are the nuts and bolts of earning that trust now?
Yeah, it's a pretty fundamental change. We're seeing, I'd say, 5 really key shifts happening. First off, fact-checking is now a core service. And it's much more intense than before. PR teams are basically internal gatekeepers now. They have to meticulously ensure that every story, every claim can actually stand up to some serious scrutiny. It's not just, checking quotes. It's like they're running mini newsrooms, checking data points against independent sources before anything goes out the door. They have to anticipate those skeptical journalists and, frankly, smart consumers who'll check it themselves in seconds.
Right, so they're trying to preempt the fact checkers by doing it themselves first. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, what's the second shift?
Second, there's a definite move towards data-driven proof over just, spin. Remember those kind of vague, feel-good stories with no real stats? They just don't fly anymore. Credibility now is built on things like verifiable reports, independent studies, real-time analytics. Stuff that gives actual weight to what a brand is claiming. So for instance, if a company says they're sustainable, they better be ready to point to a specific, audited third-party report, not just toss around terms like eco-friendly. Third, and this one is absolutely vital, is radical transparency in crisis communication. We've all seen examples where cover-ups or even just delaying the message makes things so much worse for a brand in crisis. This new media world, it actually rewards being open immediately, even when the truth is, frankly, uncomfortable. It's about owning the narrative with facts, even if those facts aren't exactly flattering.
Yeah, I can imagine that's a tough adjustment for some organizations, the ones used to really controlling everything. But you're right, in a world where anyone can report anything, trying to hide something, it almost always backfires, doesn't it?
Almost always, exactly. And fourth, we're seeing this move toward real collaboration with journalists. It's not just about, blasting out press releases into the void anymore. That's old school. Now, PR pros are actually co-creating stories with journalists, with researchers, sometimes even with fact checkers. It becomes a kind of shared effort to fight misinformation. The PR team provides credible access, context, understanding that a strong, accurate story helps everyone, including the brand's reputation long term. It's about being a trusted resource. And then the fifth shift, finally, is what we could call the humanization factor. Media coverage and public perception really favors leaders and employees who seem to genuinely live the company's values. It's not enough to have polished corporate statements. Trust is fundamentally built person to person, by authentic voices people feel they can connect with, not some faceless corporate entity. So if a brand talks up community involvement, you'd expect to see, say, their CEO actually at local events, not just putting out a release about it.
That's really interesting, that human connection piece. But isn't there a risk there, too? That this humanization just becomes another performance? How do we, the people listening, tell the difference between someone being genuinely authentic and someone just, playing a role very well?
That's a really sharp question. And it gets right to the heart of why understanding these PR shifts actually empowers you. When you know this is the new playbook, it helps you cut through the noise. It helps you evaluate brand messages more critically. You start to recognize what genuine communication feels like versus, just slick marketing. So, next time you see that sustainability claim, knowing this, you'll maybe instinctively look for the data, right? Are they citing that independent study? Or is it just nice words? You'll look for actions matching the human face they present. It equips you to spot the difference between real trust building and just persuasion tactics.
Okay, that makes sense. That's really practical advice for navigating, well, everything we see online daily. So
Yeah.
looking ahead then, zooming out, what's the big picture for PR in this whole battle against misinformation? Where's it all headed?
Well, I think as misinformation unfortunately continues to grow and get more sophisticated, PR's role is going to be seen less as just promotion
Mhm.
and more as a crucial guardian of public trust. It's becoming almost a necessity for societal function in a way. The blands, the organizations that will really thrive, they'll be the ones that treat truth as completely non-negotiable. They'll be the ones turning media coverage into like long-term credibility stock that grows over time, not just a quick publicity hit. It's about building that solid foundation of reputation, something that lasts.
And I think that brings us toward the end of this deep dive into the silent currency of PR. It's become incredibly clear, hasn't it? Trust isn't just a nice to have for brands anymore. It
Yeah.
really is the bedrock, the foundation for their future, maybe even their survival.
Absolutely. So, maybe a final thought to leave you with. If truth really is becoming this non negotiable currency for organizations,
Mm.
what responsibility does that put back on all of us as individuals? The responsibility to critically look at and maybe even demand truth from the information we consume every single day. Something to think about.